Hi, my name is Julia Radosz and I would like to talk about whistle tone. I'm an operatic soprano and you can read more about me in my bio below. So, what is whistle voice? Whistle voice is the highest register of the human voice and it functions both in females and in males, although we're used to hearing it in pop icons like Mariah Carey and Ariana Grande, where they go up to the stratospheric high notes that are light and seemingly pop out of nowhere. Why do we want to use whistle tone in classical singing? Whistle tone can increase range, beauty, ease, and flexibility in the upper extension of the human voice, which is why I believe it's important to cultivate early on in classical training. How do I begin exploring whistle voice? Well, in my case, my whistle voice didn't come in until my technique really solidified. But I work with many students that sometimes the first lesson, their voice just goes straight up into whistle voice function, which is really awesome. However, I will say in my experience with most English-speaking people, that typically goes away in adolescence. So we have to work to get it back. Right when I get up, before I'm about to vocalize for real, I like to check how my voice is functioning. And the way that I do that is with the whistle voice, because I can tell if the cords are a little bit swollen or if they're fine. And the way I do this is I just open up my mouth Okay, so what does that feel like to me? That feels like absolutely nothing, okay? I'm not supporting, I'm not sending air. In fact, if anything, it feels like I'm sucking in air, but I am not. Very important to note, I am not sucking in air. So a lot of people tend to think that is something that you have to squeeze to get out because it's super high and it's super like small. But it's quite the opposite because you don't squeeze at all. There's absolutely no pressure. Okay, so that's how I like to wake up my voice and see how that's functioning. But now I'm gonna give you some exercises so that you can see if you can access your whistle voice. Imagine you are holding a straw right here and you are, okay, so nothing's really escaping. Now, the one important fact about this is you wanna keep the tongue up in the back. You wanna keep that very high. Okay, so when we say ooh as an English speaker, we say ooh, ooh, and our tongues kind of fall flat. This is not what we want to do. We want to get that tongue up and kind of out of the back of the throat, and we want to say ooh, ooh, ooh. Now, I'm telling you right now, that is not something most people naturally do. Okay, so we're going to start at a C6. So what I did was I kept my tongue up very high, and as I came down, I did not let this tongue drop. This won't feel like a fully sung ooh, so if you feel like you're really singing and supporting, stop. It's not whistle voice. Something else maybe, but not whistle voice. You can keep taking this higher, D, E flat, E. I take it up depending on how my day is. Anywhere, A flat. Okay, so can sort of function up towards A, and as the day goes on and maybe I stretch out a little bit more, might get higher. So you might gain a couple notes after you vocalize a little bit more, which is great. And you can also find with the whistle voice that you can stretch the chords a little bit. I find you can gently stretch, and actually, if I wake up and I'm a little bit swollen, I can pretty much bring down the swelling with a little bit of gentle whistle voice. Now, the one thing that is the super hindrance to whistle voice is the tongue. So if you're feeling that the tongue is yanking down to try to make a full voice sound, which a lot of sopranos like to do in the super top, I am no exception. That is a natural reaction of my body, and I've had to train it out like you wouldn't believe. In fact, I train it out every single day. Just a natural reaction where you want to spread and yank the tongue down and make a big sound. Not the way to do it. Not the way to do it. Okay, men, guess what? You guys have a whistle voice too. Now, it's not as explored as a female whistle voice, but it's definitely there. So it's what comes after you're sort of at the top of your falsetto. for every man it's different. Maybe it could be around E flat, E, F, I don't know. Can be different for every person. And you'll find that the falsetto kind of collapses and narrows if you're doing it correctly. It works exactly the same as the females that I'm demonstrating, so you can kind of translate that into your own vocal range and experiment with it. So if the tongue is just yanking back in this ooh position and you cannot get this, one thing I try is vocalizing with my tongue out, okay? So you can start somewhere. I would say start down low because you can make sure the tongue's not yanking back. So I like to start around C5 sometimes because it's right before my passaggio, and you could just sort of put the tongue out. Now the important part about this is that you don't support again, because what we're trying to do is get the voice to flip into whistle. The sooner the better, okay? So let's see, I'm up to F. There, you see A flat. I was able to switch it into whistle. So it's very gentle. Now if I did that full voice, I'd have to support a little bit more. And now remember I said in the beginning, whistle voice is not supported. So if we want to flip into the whistle voice, you hear that? Okay, so the last note was too low for me to keep in whistle voice, but I tried. Can you hear that it really takes no effort? And if you think about it, it's like a rubber band. And if my whistle voice isn't functioning the way that I want it to, I visualize pulling back a rubber band in my throat. Okay, and it's important to note that all of these sounds, they do originate here. Okay, now people can visualize it here, 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 here. I don't know. It doesn't work for me. Okay, it really works to visualize where the sound is actually happening, which is here. And in fact, I can feel it there. A lot of people say you shouldn't feel anything in your throat. I tend to disagree with that, and I'll get into that in later videos. But I definitely feel the whistle voice here, but it's not pressured and it's not hard. One of the hallmarks of whistle tone is you can hold it for days. Again, no pressure, no yanking back with the tongue. What happens if you can't access your whistle voice trying all of these exercises? I would say most likely it's that you're taking up too much chest voice or not enough head voice in the upper reaches before you get to whistle tone. Oftentimes, pop singers who belt have an easier time accessing the whistle voice because there's an immediate release of pressure from a full-on belt to a high whistle tone. You can hear it in Mariah Carey. She does it all the time. It's really awesome. But for classically trained singers, especially if you weren't trained to shed enough weight in the upper reaches of the voice, it can sometimes be tricky. So what if you've done these exercises and you still can't really feel the whistle voice action? It feels like you're going into super high head voice or something loud and pressured. A couple of these things might seem a little controversial, but just go with me here, because if you feel any pain or any tension or anything difficult in the throat, it's not right. The first thing is going to be like a slight cough that goes inward, not outward, but this way, okay? That's a good sensation to start. Or you can think if you're brushing your tongue with a toothbrush, that sensation right before you're going to gag. Okay, and you're going to start with that, engage that musculature, which feels like it's moving backwards, and you're going to go. And that's it. So if you still can't find your whistle voice after trying these exercises, you might have to explore the possibility that you have to increase and strengthen your head voice. And that is a subject we will cover in my next video. Thank you for joining me here, and I look forward to answering your questions and comments below.